thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.
This is the first of our vlogs with the MT. We're kicking off with you as the head honcho. Not nervous, so let's go and see. So, since the last update that you sent, what are some new things? Give us some good news,
Well, I think there's plenty to look forward to, and there's plenty of good news that's happened recently. So let's start with pay, okay? Everyone
Always
needs
good.
it. Everyone wants more for obvious reasons. We're obviously seeing an economic cost of living increase, which is really affecting every single person within the business. So it was really great, really good stuff that was done particularly by Gary, behind the scenes, but also as Air France as general, to get that pay increase in from the 1st of November, 3%.
Great.
And also the two payments that went in, one in the 1st of November and one that's going in, one that went into the 1st of October and one that's now coming on the 1st of November as well. So I think it's very positive from that point of view. That said, putting pay to one side, we've also got the various things that we've seen coming up, system upgrades, particularly in the eye care and customer care. There's been a lot of snags that have been fixed. Odigo, yes, I know it's got some challenges. I'm well aware of the frustrations around that, but again, if we give it time, like other things we've had, we fix some of the snags that we're seeing. Eventually, we'll start to see some improvement there and more efficiency of handling the customer. Better for the customer, better for the colleague as well. If we take currently the current service, well, the service just finished, but in terms of the Christmas party or some kind of party, it would be Christmas or next year. We managed to get a sign off of a budget for that, which is great considering the company that's still in a kind of cost control way. We're still trying to get through the billions of pounds we've lost, and things are positive there. But we will get something in place for staff, whether it be this year or early next year, to have a celebration and just come together again and just remind each other, what a great job we've done throughout the last few years. We've just today given out some service awards to people. 2 people worked for 10 years and I think about 9 or 10 people for 20 years, which is just impressive. I mean, just incredible. And their loyalty, their service to Air France and KLM has been phenomenal. And how lucky and gratifying it is that we've got these people in the business supporting it. And I think finally, everyone, it's for this time of the year is not obviously for everyone. I appreciate that, depending on the religion you follow and what kind of faith you follow. But it is a seasonality time. We do tend to enjoy it a little bit more, I like to think. It's a bit of a good feel spirit, catching up with family and friends, maybe having a little bit of too much wine now and then, or in some people's case maybe champagne, or of course if you don't have that, orange juice, whatever. But I think it's just that time of year that you do feel a little bit kind of, okay, yeah, it's Christmassy. Let's just enjoy it, and then we start the new year. So I think there's lots of things there, lots of things that are very positive coming out from the business, and lots of things that are coming positive from ourselves. And I think overall, if you look at Air France KLM as a group, we're recovering well, for sure. Sales are up, passenger numbers are up, flights are up. If you talk to some of the experts, they're starting to see a growing trend, which is fantastic. But there's the side of the caution. We are also looking at a huge hike in cost in certain areas, particularly around the energy side. People start to rethink around their finances, and on top of that, of course, you've got the various challenges that come within the airline industry throughout the year, which the guys here will know better than me. But let's hope we don't get any kind of pilot strikes or volcano explosions in ash clouds and various other forms.
Fantastic. Now, we obviously had the agile working policy kick in earlier in the year, but now we've had the great news that I'm sure a lot of staff are very happy about the working from abroad policy. Anything you want to share about that?
Yeah, I mean, it is positive, and I should have probably added it, but I think because we're not still maybe just done the final tick box, but we are there for sure. All the various discussions have had to have taken place with the union, with staff, with management team, etc. Are pretty much there or thereabouts, and I think it's very positive that we can now offer that to our colleagues. And whilst it's in its pilot stage to begin with, and I think we've made that very clear in terms of what we want to do early on and why, learnings, etc. And if we have to do any adjustments, then great. But ultimately, I don't envision it being any kind of issue going forward. I think it's great for staff to be able to utilise. people to go back home, see their families, and actually extend that longer than without using their holiday, but also still doing a fantastic job serving our customers.
Oh, absolutely. I think good timing as well, because for people who want to get away for Christmas,
Absolutely,
it's
yeah.
very good. So we've been talking about surveys before, Christmas party survey. There's another survey out at the moment, isn't there?
There is, there's EPS. So for those that have been here a long time, they will know EPS like the back of their hand, but it's important. And you know, the business overall has had its ups and downs, and as a centre we've had our ups and downs. We've had a lot of changes in a short period of time, but I think it's important to gauge where staff are on that particular part. What we haven't done for a while in the centre, which we will do next year, is what we call pulse surveys. And that's actually asking a bit more from people in terms of how they're feeling, what are they thinking. And then we can understand a little bit more at a local level. And we try to focus a little bit on that this year with our kind of 5-pillar business plan around the well-being, the performance, the compliance, the focus on our staff. And we've not been able to kind of fully put that into place due to various kind of transformation programs that have been happening with Sniffig, head office, asking to do certain things that just seem to come in left, right and centre. So we've had to be a bit agile about certain things and not been able to really put some focus into those areas. But in some areas we have, and I think if you look on MyWem, which is a really key communication tool for everyone, you'll see some of the progress that's been made in those areas. And I think going into next year, we'll start to ramp it up even more, we'll start to enhance it. And more importantly, just alongside EPS, we need to get more feedback from our colleagues. Tell us how you're feeling, tell us what's going on. We shouldn't need a survey to do that. I'd love people to be going to their manager or senior management or myself, whoever, and saying, okay, or Gary or Vanda or Tulay or Xavier, I've got an issue here, can we talk about it? And let's get this out in the open and see how we can solve these issues. But I think it's important to put some things in place along the way that just gives us that kind of indicator of where we are.
Cool. So coming to the end of the year, where do you see us sort of going in the next quarter then, as we sort of move forward?
Well, it's tough. Let's make no bounds about it. If you look at our sales and service side, I've said earlier, the volume's up. The guys are almost probably feeling like they were back in the pandemic, where it's relentless call after call after call. But they've got early go challenges. As much as I said earlier, it's going to come good, give it time, but there are challenges there within the system. There's things we've got to work out and process change for people to adapt to. You've also got the mentioned about before seasonality, so Christmas, just people also wanted to get away. So we've obviously seen the Schiphol issues, baggage issues. So it's a multitude of things that happen all the time. So it's still tough. If you take the customer care side, the knock-on effect to that, the number of claims are up, the number of claims going legal is up. So ultimately, you then say, well, how does that knock on to other places? Well, our support is then more increased because we need more people doing first and second line support because our colleagues are asking more questions. Customers are coming up with new ways to look at how they can get money, and we've not come across this before. So we then go to our centre of expertise team. And then if you look around that, other things then start to think, well, how do we support our colleagues? So HR and doing wellbeing and stuff will be up. Team leaders expected to understand what's going on with their staff a bit more, as well as trying to do the other stuff. So it's going to be tough, and make no bones about it. What I think is important though is that togetherness. I think this centre, since I've joined 4 years ago, it's always had a togetherness. It's always looked out for each other. It's always got together and come together to actually get through these kind of tough periods. And I think that's going to be massively key important. But I guess going into next year, and let's make it a bit more positive, we've almost finished the transformation and transition into the kind of Scientific steer world. And I think there's been some great synergies there created and some things that we're still trying to work through. I think ultimately we've seen a lot of job opportunities come up. I think to begin with, I don't know the exact number, but I'm sure if we need to know, then HR will tell us, but it's probably about 30 or 40 new creative positions from that transition and more. We are currently expanding as a centre, which we thought we would never be saying again. And albeit it may be on a small scale, it's still an increase in growth for the centre, which is fantastic. We're seeing a lot more requests from head office coming into our teams here, asking us, can we do this, can we do that, can we do more? We want Wembley to do this because we recognise it's going to be a great job, and it just shows the kudos that are deserved within the centre. And then beyond that, we start to look at how we can be more innovative, how can we be more efficient, how can we actually support our colleagues better, that supports our customers better, and vice versa. So those kind of 5 pillars I mentioned before will start to become very key. But ultimately, the enhancements from the business, in terms of the technology world, training support, well-being. We've just recruited Fred as a local trainer now, so she will start to work on different programs for us to help our colleagues and their support. We've also got the expansion of using Signific in their wide scope of learning and development, which is massively key. So I think it's us to really pigeonhole where we want to kind of draw those things out to then make our lives a bit better and more easier. And I think we just need to not stop growing. I'd love to get the centre back to where it was in terms of numbers. I think it could possibly happen, but of course we also are aware that we're still paying back almost probably £2 or £3 billion in debt, and we can't forget that. And therefore we have to do it in gentle steps and look for every kind of way of making that improvement as possible. But for sure, very positive. I think we've got a very good team, and long that may continue.
Brilliant. Well, good outlook for the future. Bit tough, but if everyone pulls together, I think that's definitely going to work. So, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time, and we will speak to you again shortly.
Pleasure. Thank you.